ink-a-dink, 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 ink-a-dink. Wow.
Anyway.
Oh, all right.
So, what are we doing today? Are you gonna, is this gonna be our Friday night, screw Fox News, here comes Cat News? Yeah, hello, I'm here. Okay, alrighty, alright. Okay. Basil says he's got his necktie on. Yeah, there it is. So I should at the very least be dressed up in a way that, at least in a way that he can see me. And no, not see me. See me. Okay, hold on. Hold on. I know this is the color. Red is the color of your co-host's shirt. That's a little takeoff on an old Irish song, Irish chanty. Okay, hold on. We're not on camera yet, so don't worry about it. Okay, hold on. Phones are all hooked up. Let's give it a test run. Well, that gives me a clue as to who our guests or guests, if we have a guest, might be tonight. It sounded like the noise coming from a clown car. So that's gotta narrow it down a little bit. Okay, hold on, Basil. Hold on. You know. The producer of your show, Kristen Schoenfeld, has not. Oh. Okay. Well, at any rate, so whatever has been taped has been taped. Full disclosure. We don't normally get prepped on there. So who are you thinking about now that you can see me? Not see me, but see me. Who have you got in mind? Do you have somebody ready to check in and visit with us? What? Oh. Okay. I don't know where we're gonna park him, but we don't have the customary stand that we used 3.5 years ago when we started doing the show, and we had quite a few of the Republican presidential candidates on. Well, now apparently we've got the guy who's guaranteeing that not only will he win, but he'll be getting the, did he call it the wetback vote? He said, okay, hold on. Big Cat in the Hat phone, nope, Nickelodeon phone. Oh, it's Lilithon, the Nickelodeon phone. Now, which is interesting because she's got. Well, I don't understand why she would be on the phone when in fact she's returned to us as the Calico Cat came back as the Calico Stone, and I don't understand why she needs to be on the phone if she's. Well, I guess yeah. I guess I guess she really doesn't have a mouth on the calico stone. So, and we've got the blue face from that we see around Richfield from place to place, and we have Kristen. We have no idea where those came from, or how they got to where they're hanging, or even how this one got here, for that matter.
It appeared in my Jeep.
It appeared in your Jeep?
Yep.
Okay. Well. Okay.
I wanted to take it out for a test drive.
And do you still have the pumpkins on the front of your Jeep?
Pumpkins? What are those? I've been waiting for them to rot off.
Okay. So, I guess I better answer the phone. Hold on. Yeah, it's the Inky Dinky phone. Okay, good evening, Basil BuddhaCat presents. Basil, I think it's Donald Trump, because I'm suspecting that because if I have the phone this close to my ear, it's kind of echoing a little bit and resounding, and there's a screech on the other end of the line at any rate. So I'm holding the phone out here, and I'm talking loud so you can hear me at the other end. Now, the person that's screaming at the other end, or at least it sounds like he's screaming, is saying that they're not all wetbacks. He's convinced that a few of them came across the border, across the Rio Grande River, with a second shirt tucked in a plastic bag. So when they get here, they're at least their back is dry. So he said, no, they're not all wetbacks. Some of them are in fact drybacks. Okay. Hang on, could you check the volume level again?
Sure.
I'm just a little skeevish about the Comcast backup camera, or maybe the backup to the backup camera. And wait a second. Okay. This is Donald Trump's cat, Trumpy. Okay. Is the volume okay?
Yeah, but you keep hiding behind the skeleton. No, just don't lean next to him. Move your chair over this way more.
Okay. See, that's why we have a producer for these things, because
Excuse me, folks.
otherwise, can you still see little Jeffrey Peterson in the camera?
Little Jeffrey Peterson? Yes. Little Jeffrey Peterson is in the camera.
Okay. And the wizard? Can you see the wizard?
Big Wiz is there. Little Wiz is there, and I can see the Big Wiz.
Well, here. Go take a whiz.
I already did.
So in fact, Kristen tells us that it's Donald Trump's cat, Trumpy, that's on the line. But I don't know if Trumpy can scream as loud as Donald Trump can. And besides, is what I'm hearing from the other end of the line is that I do not refer to all of them as wetbacks. Some of them came across the border with an extra shirt tucked in a plastic bag. And when they got here, they changed into the other shirt and became drybacks. So, well, Trumpy, or your human Donald Trump, we apologize. But, so while I got you on the line, oh, look at that. It says check the Scrabble board. So hold on, Mr. Trump. We're going to keep you on the line for a second here, because we have, okay, we've got, okay. A little flashback to last week's shows, where we did Mayflower, Arkansas, Keystone, the Keystone Pipeline, and we did a little show about that because Basil sent us on a visit to Mayflower, Arkansas on the return portion of our trip out west. And bottom again on the return trip, Northeast Alabama, Cathedral Caverns, Alabama, Trevor Darling, shout out for giving us the tour of all tours. Turned an hour tour. It was a slow day, so we were able to extend an hour tour into. And apparently Trevor's quite a football player. We looked him up on Facebook, and we've seen that he's a wide receiver that's got a lot of promise, and aside from being a football player, he's a bright young man, and gave us a great tour of Cathedral Caverns in Grant, Alabama. Highly recommended. Big cavern, big cavern. It didn't have as much in the way of stalactites and stalagmites and draping as some of the caves we've been in caverns. But on the other hand, it's got of notoriety. It's got some incredibly large chunks of ceiling that collapsed inward. And are lying on the floor, just massive chunks of limestone, etc. And apparently, in 1812, the largest earthquake in recorded history in the United States took place on the Mississippi River. What's called the New Madrid Fault Line runs down through part of the central United States, and there was an earthquake of such a magnitude that a hole was opened in the earth. It created such a huge hole that a lake known as Reelfoot Lake, which is apparently extremely deep. We didn't see Reelfoot Lake, but the reference to Reelfoot Lake from Cathedral Caverns is that when the earthquake took place in 1812, and it created a hole large enough so that the Mississippi River ran backwards for, well, the story has it 3 full days, but it may not have been that long. But just imagine a river like the Mississippi River running backwards for any length of time is something pretty amazing. And the shock waves from that earthquake extended all the way out to northeast Alabama, which I'm going to say is probably, I'm going to guesstimate certainly about maybe 300 miles. That might be the closest 100-mile mark. And it created a shockwave that far out so that these huge chunks of ceiling collapsed down onto the floor of the caverns. And again, it's a great cavern. It's a great hour-long stroll through. And thank you, Trevor Darling, for a great tour. But also in the center here, I see you've arranged Donald Trump, and underneath it are all these, the whole alphabet, in fact, except for the K, because of course we've got apparently there are both K's. The K's from both Scrabble boards are taken up in Keystone and in Arkansas, and Kansas. Interesting, huh? Kansas. So Kansas is inside of Arkansas, apparently. Now, do you want to touch on the flag news? That in South Carolina. Side note: in South Carolina, the governor Nikki Haley, Republican. Thank you. Prompted the Republican state legislature in South Carolina, both the House and the Senate, to pass a law. Although there was a lot of discussion about it in the House, there were a couple of folks that tried to continually add addendums, add riders to the law, to just kind of drag out the discussion a little bit. And I think that it's good. When something like this happens, nobody should be able to say afterwards that it was railroaded through. It required a lot of discussion, and you heard a lot of complaints about the flag doesn't represent slavery, that it represents the heritage of the South, and it does. But the heritage of the South that's represented by the flag that was up in front of the state capitol, that heritage is all about racism. It's not about states' rights, unless you consider the fact that the southern states wanted the states' rights to have slaves. And America finally, begrudgingly, although it took a took a long and horrible civil war, America got past the notion that that one man could own and torture and make work from sun up to sundown, and then some. That the owner of a human being could do whatever they want to do, including rape them, and have no consequences for these horrible crimes that were horrible crimes against humanity. Finally, after the bloody conflict we call the Civil War, America joined all the other countries in the world that had outlawed slavery, and including a little country to the south called Mexico. Now, why is Mexico and slavery a big deal? Well, we'll have to remember the Alamo in order to discuss that. Alamo, Texas, which was part of Mexico at the time, 1836, I believe. The Mexican government had begrudgingly allowed the Texicans, the folks that lived in what's now Texas, what was then part of Mexico. It was a big cotton industry there. They raised a lot of cotton. Cotton's labor intensive. They had slaves. Mexico had outlawed slavery, I'm thinking about 20 years earlier. And check your historical documents and give us a call back and tell us exactly how long it was. But it was about 20 years. And Mexico, the government had begrudgingly allowed the folks in what is now Texas to have slaves. Finally, after decades of that, they said, no, that's it. No more slavery. Our laws, our Constitution outlaws slavery, and you're not going to have slaves, and that's the end of it. That's what prompted all those gallant folks that wanted to bring Texas into the United States as a southern state, as a slave state, decided that that's what they would do. They waged a war against Mexico for independence, and it's unknown in my mind whether to them that was about slavery. All of them was about slavery. To Davy Crockett, Jim Bowie, and some of the other folks. General Sam Houston, who led the army to leave, to secede from Mexico, if you will. Whether their prime motivator was slavery, but to somebody it was, and that's the fact of the matter, is that them leaving Mexico and joining the United States as a southern state, as a slave state, it was about slavery, and that takes a little bit of the glimmer off of remember the Alamo if you want to remember the entire thing. So well, he's still there, and I hear his loud bellicose voice saying, "What about me?" What about you? So Basil, you got Donald Trump to call in, and that's pretty good because apparently Donald Trump spends somewhere between 5 minutes and 45 minutes on the phone with Reince Priebus, and yes, that is a real name, the head of the Republican National Committee, talking about Donald's remarks about immigrants and how maybe he might want to tone that down a little bit because we don't want to give away the fact that we're the party that's built on other things, hatred for immigrants, at least the modern day immigrants, at least the South American, Central America, and Mexican modern day immigrants. We like to bring in immigrants from other countries on green cards, on work visas, because they're cheap for us. It's a pretty good payday for them, and it keeps companies from having to hire American kids coming out of college who want more money because they have student loans, and it's cheaper to bring folks in from India and other countries to do, and they do fine work, but so could American kids, thank you. So at any rate, so we got Donald Trump, and we've been trying to figure out how exactly we can take the take the letters in Donald Trump and come up with stuff and give us a little bit more insight into him. Because so far what we got, we can't use all the letters to come up with no add up. So apparently no add up doesn't add up so far. We could have the word deal, but we could also have the words no deal. We looked for good descriptive words for Donald Trump, like xenophobic. In the that's got an X in it, so I guess you can kind of tilt it 45 degrees and make out that somehow Christians should be xenophobic, and they're not real Christians at least. We tried to find the word bankruptcy in Donald Trump, and we were unable to do that. So we figured maybe if we found his middle name, or at least his middle initial, at least he's still there. Because I know he just screamed out, "There's a couple of dry backs." Okay, so what? Oh, okay. In the spirit of Donald Trump, we need to stop for a second, and we need to do a couple of commercials. Now, apparently, we lost a few of our sponsors while we were away, and that's unfortunate. But we still have the same standby. Now, we apparently somewhere here in the studio we've got. Oh, okay. Okay. Now we've passed Cinco de Mayo, Cinco de Junio, Cinco de Julio. Well, there's another month coming up, and it's got a Cinco, so we need to cha-cha-cha right over to your... Are we doing Bud yet? Basil said, So we're working on it. All we have to wait for is for a couple more football players, basketball players, baseball players. Well, we got one recently that got thrown off a team because he's on camera slamming a woman in the side of the head with his fist and then throwing her across the bar. We need a couple more professional football players to do some stuff after drinking some Budweiser, and makes Bud look bad. I mean, they don't want to be known as the beverage people drink before they assault people, and or the beverage that people try to feed to other people in order to prep them for assault. So Basil says we're going to get that Budweiser account, and well, you know, we got little Jeffrey Peterson from the late night with Craig Kilborn. I hear sweetness from the other room. Craig Ferguson. Yes.
Craig Ferguson.
Okay, Craig Ferguson. So we got little Jeffrey Peterson from Craig Ferguson when he closed up shop, and who knows who's doing that show now? I mean, we don't even watch it anymore. Craig Ferguson had a pretty good show. It was kind of predictable, but it was a good show to watch at 12:30. We always watched it during the day on a 24-hour delay on I don't know, Hulu or Netflix, one or the other, because we don't get cable, because we don't need it, because everything's on the internet. Don't tell that to our folks at Comcast, because they're the ones that they lent us this lovely camera to do a show. But at any rate, we're trying to get the Budweiser account, and we want to get that Clydesdale. We want to get that horse. And as my kids will remind me about the times we used to drive to Misquamicut Beach in Rhode Island in the summertime, and we'd angle down to Interstate 95 and go past the Budweiser distributorship along there, and they'll remind me something about how their dad used to point at that horse out in the yard, whether, I don't know, it was a wooden horse or a plastic horse or whatever, and a big fake Clydesdale, and used to ask, I wonder where the beer comes out of that animal. And so that was it. They're not here, so they can't laugh. Bill Murray's up in the hammock stifling a laugh. Drew Carey's up there, who we lovingly refer to as LFFF, because we can't spell that one out. We can't read that one out in full version on television. Stephen Colbert's up there too. Okay, good. Stephen Colbert's up there, and Stephen Colbert was of course, host of the Colbert Report, and he's going over to take the place of David Letterman late night. But he did a great show, and I'm going to suggest you find a show he did on cable television up in the Glove part of Michigan, not the Upper Peninsula, but the Glove part, and did a cable TV show as a practice run. And so if you want to look that up, you can take a look at that. It's about 40 minutes long. It's pretty interesting. I mean, just the nature of how a guy without an audience to laugh at what he says, how periodically he'll stop and wait and wait for someone to laugh, and it never happens, and he has to trudge forward. And he had Eminem on. No, he had Marshall Mather on, talking about the songs of Eminem. You know, we're going to have to break away for a moment. We're going to have to take a sip of,
where did Basil's favorite soda go to?
Okay. PA&W root beer. So we got the commercials in. PA&W root beer, and it's that extra letter in front of the A&W that gives it that sparkle and that special flavor. And how do we know that PA&W root beer is Basil's favorite root beer? Well, the same reason that we know that Tootsie Roll is Basil's favorite candy. All you got to do is look in the litter pan, and you'll know. And with that, this has been Basil BuddhaCat Presents. I'm David Stevenson, Basil's co-host, interpreter, chief gopher, and there's a presidential candidate that's a cat. Well, that's something we're going to have to talk to on the Sunday morning show. So, thanks for watching, and we'll see you Sunday morning. Good night.
They say they'd rob your grandma blind on Wall Street, fritter her away her Medicare on Wall Street. And Pharma Oil and their pet fox don't care if she lives in a box, so long as they wear platinum jocks on Wall Street, Meow.